Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, MDCAN, must be believed. We are in dire straits in the medical sector. Professor Aminu Muhammad, MDCAN president, alerted that for the country, it would take Nigeria 10 years to replace the more than 500 medical doctors who have migrated from our country in search of greener pastures. What more depressing details do we require to appreciate that we're in dire straits, Wale?
This is a...
But wait,
yeah.
Is the grass always greener on the other side? Do you think?
Not necessarily.
Okay.
But the color of the grass there is not the same with the color of the grass here.
Oh, the shade of green on the other side is different from ours.
It will not necessarily be green, but at least people see it as not totally arid, you know.
Okay.
So I'm worried by that position, that statement of fact, because the fact is that I think we have about 24,600 medical doctors
registered.
Yeah, 16 of them are male, and about 8,600 are female, and that gives you a ratio of maybe of about 400,000 Nigerians. You have probably about 36 doctors. So we still have a long way to go. We produce some 12,000 medical doctors every year. But if you go and interview all of them, most likely 70% of those doctors will tell you that they don't want to work in Nigeria. And if you look at what the doctors earn in Nigeria, maybe apart from neurosurgeons who are their salaries are higher, probably between 290 to 300,000 naira. But if you are in UK, you get some 2,000 to 3,000 pounds. That's more than 2 million naira in a month. If you are in Singapore, you get about $21,000, with another gift, that may go into around $16,000. In Saudi Arabia, if you're a medical doctor, you may get as much as $10,000, in a month. So when you compare this with what our doctors get here, it's embarrassing. And don't forget, it's not as if people have read geography, this and all that are not important. But medical doctors, they're actually fewer, and their trade has to do with life and death. So and that's why in every country, they are very, very important. Look at the population of United Kingdom that has about over 360,000 medical doctors. We are about 200 million, and we have just 24,000 medical doctors. So I think it's a huge problem that we need to address. And when you look at these medical doctors, most of them prefer to stay in urban areas. Lagos has about maybe 2,561, maybe going to a little bit more now. And if you go to other states, those medical doctors, if you go to rural areas, there are no doctors at all. In my own town, there's no medical doctor. In the surrounding towns, about 6, 7, you can't find any medical doctor. Probably you'll be able to get a nurse. And even it's not, when we are talking about brain drain in the medical sector, it's not just medical doctors alone. Dentists, nurses, they are, when I was coming in
paramedics generally.
This afternoon, the person that took me, I interrogated a woman. Uber. I said, okay. A woman coming to pick me, I was a mother. Okay. What course did you study? Laboratory technologies. I attended one of the universities since 2014, no job. Then she has to take it, into Uber. If that kind of person, if I ask her, I say, but there's high demand for it. She said, I'm not aware. I don't know how to go about it. If I know how to go about it, why would I be doing this kind of job? A woman, a mother, probably with some children, So what people are going to, medical personnel their experiences here, it will be very difficult for us to compel them to stay in an environment that is not productive for them. And it was not like this in the 70s, in the 80s, when if you go to University of Ibadan medical school, you see students from Ghana, from South Africa, from Saudi Arabia coming there to school. Today, we have been thrown into the backbench of medical history. And I think it's quite unfortunate. So what the man has said is a major challenge that I hope that we will be able to, deal diligently with this issue so that we can encourage our medical doctors to find the reason why they need to stay back at home to improve the health sector.
Doctor, So we're in the wilderness, so to speak.
Well, I'm not sure that we're in the wilderness.
Okay.
I think what we need...
You see area of hope, area of light?
Yes. What we need to do is to ensure that we get the country right. Where our problem starts from, for most workers now who earn salary, is the fact that we are living in a dollarized economy where all of our spendings are done in dollar because the bulk of what we consume, they come from outside the country and we use dollar for trading. I've always asked the question, when you say somebody doesn't earn enough in the country, can the country afford to pay the person better? If, as it is now, the minimum wage is 30,000 naira, if that 30,000 naira is at the equivalent of the dollar and it is $30,000, nobody will complain.
Yeah.
So that is the first starting point for me, which is why I always say the push by workers for more money is not the solution to our problem. Rather, it is going to add to our problem by causing inflation. So we need to get the economy right. And that is why all the way, the appointments of President Bola Ahmed Tinubu in the direction of the economy are being monitored. Because if we don't get that economy right, even if you decide to pay a doctor $1 million, the average doctor or the least paid $1 million, at 1,000 naira to $1, that's still about $1,000 in a month. And which to them doesn't add up to a place like Saudi Arabia where you get a minimum of $10,000, or the UK where you get it in pound. So we must look at that area and address it, the economy, because it is not only affecting the doctors, it is also affecting those in IT. We've said it on this program before. Go and check most of the banks. The IT people are out of the country because they are being paid more. And are you going to keep me here when they need my services where they can pay me better? It's a no-no. Number two, sir, is we also need to create the atmosphere to produce more medical doctors in the country. And that is going to start with allowing the universities to be autonomous. ASU keeps contradicting itself when it comes to this issue of autonomy. And I find it difficult to understand. You said you want autonomy, but you still want government to be giving you money. So how do you do the autonomy? It means students must pay something a little more. There have been protests here and there over this issue of give us something more. And I've said it a couple of times on this program. I don't see why a law student should be paying the same tuition or fees in a university as a medical student who uses chemicals, who uses all of this. Any engineering student should not be at the same level of payment with those who are in social sciences or who are in the arts. It's great injustice to the system itself. But we've always had this push by the mob who will insist that education should be free
but
at the tertiary level.
Essentially, the institution that makes laws for our country is the National Assembly. Don't we know this much?
I don't think we need laws to regulate this thing.
Oh, really?
Because it's just a matter of what is appropriate.
Then you'll be waiting for Godot.
We may, no. It is because, okay, look at what happened in Unilag. They went from a 0.0 to 1 point. And then the students complain and say, see, no matter what, just remove something. Remove something now. So a fee that was made 20,000, they brought it down to 15,000. It's a way forward, because that university will get some more money now and be able to run better. Not a situation where a student gets into class, you say because of space, that's lecture room, and hostel. You say because of the number of lecturers available, and you don't want to recruit more so that you don't create overhead.
Yeah.
So you now say we only take 50 medical students. Whereas if those things are taken care of, you get more experienced people like the lady my colleague spoke about, my boss. They'll say, okay, you have experience. Come and teach people who are doing this area of course. You put her in, you put others in. You can graduate more people. You can produce more professionals who can be useful to the country. But even if we do that, we keep producing them without taking care of our economy so that the Naira can have more value, we are not going to live where we are.
Wale, do you know, sometimes you wonder, at close to 63 years of countryhood, or is it nationhood now, we're still toddling, you know, finding it very hard to start. How did we get here? And are we really going to head back home?
I think there are so many factors responsible for where we are today. But we should ask ourselves, why do we find a situation where, look at the University of Ife. I didn't attend University of Ife anyway. Look at the University of Nigeria and Soka. Look at ABU. They were built at the time that Nigeria had regional autonomy. Why is it that up to now, no government has been able to build universities better than, those universities? Take the Cocoa House at Ibadan. Why is it that since 1959, no government in the whole of Western Nigeria has been able to build Cocoa House? Look at Odua investment that we are talking about. Still existed. How many government institutions, have existed for this long without challenges? Look at Wema Bank. So that is why most of the time we celebrate our yesterday. And we keep on saying that if we want to practice federalism, we need to practice federalism to the latter. We have to practice in reality and in practice. A situation where there is over-concentration of power. If I have gold in my town, somebody can get the license from Abuja, and then I wake up, I see somebody with a license digging gold, and I can't do anything because it comes there with soldiers. You bring a DPO from Unguru to come and be DPO in Tigidi or in Oron, So how would that kind of person understand the psychology, the sociology, and the geography of that environment? So Nigeria is a garrison state, and we are saying that.
But I hope it's not necessarily puncturing that balloon of yours.
Yeah.
In the youth service sends you from your Ogun state to say Sokoto state.
Yeah.
You fault that?
No. If you have regions, that does not stop people from going. Don't we have Indians coming here to work? Don't we have Ghanaians coming here to
because
work?
I'm considering sending a policeman from Sokoto to Calabar.
No, when we are talking about security, you need somebody who understands that environment. You need somebody who understands the language, the culture, the geography. You need such people to be able to police those areas effectively. And we had it before.
Maybe let me add to it. That's why they keep involving what those they call the JTF.
Yeah.
It is civilian JTF.
Who are made up of locals.
Locals. Go ahead, sir.
Look at the oil issue we are talking about in Niger Delta. Like I told you, I was there. I saw community people involved in OMS, because of their involvement in the past years, they were able to trace these illegal refineries. They were able to identify those who are involved in bunkering, those who are involved in oil theft.
Illegal bunkering.
Now, what are we talking? In the United States, each state has its own police. We claim to be copying the U.S. system. So why are we different? Why can't we, each state has its own policing, each state has its own. Don't forget that University of Ife was built by Western Nigeria, but in 1976, the military government of former President Olusegun Obasanjo took it over by decree. Ife was supposed to be the watershed of the intellectual power of regional government in Southwest. Yeah. The same thing UNN supposed to do that to the east, and then ABU to the north. But he came and then took over that, and at Ife at that time, they were studying Chui, Ghanaian language, because it's, Chui, Hausa, and Yoruba, they are the most common means of communication. So they felt that Chui was more useful than studying French. When I was at UNN my first year, German was imposed on us. We should choose between German or French. Why? Why didn't they ask me to study Igbo? It would have been more useful to me today. Because the universities are controlled by federal government. The NUC will just come with policies and all sort of things, and they don't have control over their own ideas and their own policies.
Now let's go home to our topic.
Go back to regional autonomy.
Okay.
Regions should be able to manage their resources, to manage their economy, to manage their internal affairs, to manage their politics. And I think if we can do that, there will be competition, mutual competition. And then all these kind of crises we're having that, armed ass men are going to areas, invading communities and all those things will stop. And people will be able to develop their agriculture, develop their economy. And in fact, there will be less budget meant for the federal government. Because the Ministry of Transportation, Ministry of Works, Ministry of Health, they will have less responsibilities. Those responsibilities will be given to the states to look at the Lagos-Ibadan Expressway. We are waiting for federal government. Ikorodu Road here. It took the current president of Nigeria, when he was the governor of Lagos, to repair Ikorodu Road. I'm not sure whether he got that money back. Ikorodu Road, federal government road, you can't touch it. For how long are we going to continue with this kind of structure? So we need to, ensure that we decentralize power and politics. And I think that is the best way that we can be able to.
So how do we stem brain drain?
Yeah, I think just like you have said, everything is tied to social, cultural, economic, and professional security. If you are paying people peanuts and they are comfortable, but the environment is not conducive for them, there is fear of light, there is fear of housing problem, there is fear of being kidnapped as a medical doctor, then people will not, they will not continue to stay in this country. They will just find out that they will be going into even the poorest countries, just because they feel they are safer in those countries than when they are in their own fatherland. And
it begs the question of, aren't Nigerian youths interested in medical studies?
There are so many who are interested in medical studies.
Okay.
If you check the records, I'm sure admission can be offered to up to 10% of those who showed interest and scored good marks to study medicine. Because of the space, limited number of lecturers. And that's why, you see, this issue of autonomy for universities will keep coming up. I like a quote somebody sent to me today from a column written by Simon Kolawole, the renowned journalist. Let me just read it. He said in his column, the Academic Staff Union of Nigerian Universities went on strike under President Muhammad Buhari, seeking, among other things, university autonomy. Now, the same union is rejecting university autonomy under President Bola Tinubu. That is why I think we are not yet having an honest conversation on the kind of university system we want in Nigeria. It appears to me that autonomy means funding without accountability. Pardon me.
As far as ASU is concerned.
Yes, as far as ASU is concerned. Meanwhile, the federal universities are already charging high fees without calling them tuition. And we are still thinking we have tuition-free university education. Let us sit down and reason together sincerely. Because we're not being sincere with ourselves. People want to collect money from the government, pocket it, and not account for it. So they say, keep funding us. They want to do double teaching, teach in federal universities and run to the private ones to also earn fat salaries, where some people are paying through their noses because of the strike actions and all the rest. So the way we can do it is to ensure that we open the space more and get better funding. But that funding, from what we are seeing now in Nigeria, can't come from government. So we must, I'm not saying that, like private universities, medical students will pay 5 million, 7.5 million, 8.5 million. That's what they charge in private universities. But at least let there be something that can help the system. Let there be something that can sustain that system. It can't be all government. People make it look like when you step out of this country, education at the university level is free. It's not. It's what ASU knows. It's not free. The economy might be bad, but government has also challenged those who are specialists, the dons who are economists. Come and propound solutions. Come and give us solutions to this issue. That's what we should be engaging in, sincere conversation.
Wale and Dotun, so if we take what Professor Aminu Muhammad, the president of the Nigerian Medical and Dental Consultants Association of Nigeria, if we take what he's saying, we have to wait until 2033.
Maybe not necessarily. We can, one other major problem is that a lot of people who want to study medicine don't get admitted because the spaces are not enough.
Okay.
So I believe we can do we can carry out a lot of, we can make a lot of changes.
We can do something before it's too late.
We don't need to wait for.
All right then.